Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing, it's precision crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Take your vibes and go, 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 go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
Welcome to the Southern U Podcast, brought to you by Darden Archery on the OKest Podcast Network, with your co-host, Matt Brock, Jeremy Ferguson, and Taylor McMurtry. If you're looking for all things land-related in the Southeast, you came to the right place. Whether it's real estate, habitat, wildlife, or just being outdoors, this is the place for you. Welcome to the Southern U. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Southern U Podcast, where we talk all things land in the Southeast, cover all things related to land like real estate and ag and hunting and whatever else we can think of to throw in there.
We're going to jump off into organic gardening before long.
Yeah, there you go. Raised beds.
Yeah, beekeeping.
Yeah. My name is Taylor. I'm joined by Mr. Jay Ferg over here, Mr. Jeremy Ferguson, Wildlife Consulting Services / broker for Tut Land.
Mm-hmm.
You been brokering any land there lately?
The land business is absolutely kicking.
Absolutely kicking.
Absolutely kicking. I'm here to tell you these 7 to low 8 interest rates aren't hurting anything in the land business.
Well, that's good. It's good to know.
Absolutely.
And who we are not joined by,
thankfully, we get a break,
is Mr. Matt Brock. He is too cool for us.
Yeah.
He's moved on to the big leagues of whatever Matt Brock does nowadays. I don't know.
Matt is being very busy at not getting anything done because he's complaining about being very busy.
Yeah, he's also I don't know. I feel like he's just working, trying to perfect his seed blend with Vitalize. You know, his vegan seed blend.
Yeah. Well, I tell you something else he's trying to perfect is his dang turkey calling. Some gun turkey hunts every morning. Must be nice.
Must be. I've been once this year.
Yeah, I've been three times now, sorry. I did get to see a giant killed, though.
Yeah?
Yep, my buddy Cody killed a stud of a bird 2 weekends ago, I guess.
Yeah, I remember seeing the pictures.
Yeah, a heck of a bird.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Brock's allegedly good at turkey hunting, but
we don't know.
Speaking of, who's over there?
Yeah, over there we got Miss Bray Swaggart. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's that? There's Swaggart.
Just like Bob Lee.
Yeah, there we go.
Just with a T.
Yeah, and we need to give a plug too for your LLC now.
Yes, yeah, I'm officially official with Southeastern Habitat and Ecology. She.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yep, if he can do it, so can she.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There you go.
And also Tutland.
Yeah, also Tutland.
Yeah, she is official with that too. So
I am soon going to be like mega outnumbered here.
You are. Yeah.
Everybody's going to be a biologist, and everybody's going to be a Tutland person.
No. Brock still hadn't taken his test yet.
He will, though. At some point, it'll happen.
Hey, he's taking the course. This is the second time he's taken the course and never finished. He will. He needs to, and he wants to. We're. I mean, you know what we're doing.
Yep.
Bray's obviously well aware of what we're doing.
Well, and I finished mine at a very good time in the middle of the rains and the freezes and all of that stuff. And now we are slammed with work.
I don't know what happened. Actually, I guess I do. I'm going to attribute some of it to November. I guess some positive outlook is the only thing I can think of. But the consulting business had been steady. I had never lost clients or anything like that through the Biden administration. But just since, December, the number of new clients that we've picked up. Look, I was doing, enough work that keeping us, us fed with work and occasionally giving a client to Matt, but that was about it. We're able to we're just handing jobs off now. It's, it's really fun, but it's crazy, but it feeds into, what we're trying to get going here.
Oh, and I love it. And people are jumping on board. They're excited. I love my clients. Like, everybody's been really easy to work with so far. And
it really is a fun and rewarding business when you get those clients that really are motivated to make changes. You'll occasionally get some that, aren't very motivated to make change, and they just want somebody to do what they want done. And
I'm still very green. I'm very, very green. And I've been very lucky on Jeremy and Brock handing a few folks over my way. And us being back home, I've had a lot of folks reach out since.
Cool. Yeah, so tell everybody where you
are. So I'm back in Etowah County now. We had been living around Tuscaloosa the last several years. Made the jump. We felt called to come back home and be closer to family and, have our son be around his grandparents and his cousins and all of that stuff, and everything. The cards just aligned, and we're back.
It's been a whirlwind.
It's been a crazy few months. Just seeing it from the outside,
it's been a whirlwind.
It's been a crazy few months, but we're having a blast, and business is doing well, and I'm happy to be here.
That's cool.
I'm happy I don't have to drive 2.5 hours back tonight after filming this.
Yeah. I know this is I know that gets old for everybody, and Matt and all that too. But I kind of got spoiled and just made the.
You just have to go upstairs.
I know, but
the one bad thing about that is work's always present.
Oh, it's always here. There's never a time for me, even if I get caught up with broadside stuff, where I'm like, okay, cool, I could go turkey hunt or whatever. It's like, no, there's probably something for Southern U I need to be editing or something whatever.
It's constant. Look, we built a barn dough, and it's what we both wanted. We didn't need big living space because no kids and all that. And I would do it again. I don't know that Mary would.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, because there's always something for me to do, and I'm always out in the shop making noise. And when I'm doing something, I'm going to call it my stuff, she don't work in the shop.
Right.
I'm always tinkering with something. I may be building a gun or rebuilding my weed eater or working on tractor. But she doesn't enjoy that stuff, and I'm loud, and I have a temper when I'm doing that kind of stuff, and she don't want to be around it. But yeah, I don't know. When work's always present, sometimes that's not a good thing.
That's right. No doubt. No doubt about it. Well, I guess before we jump into the topic of discussion, probably ought to give out some random shout-outs.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say random shout-outs. No, it's not random. It's weekly. It's
they're specific.
Yeah, specific.
They are.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, you can
I got a couple.
Okay, let's hear them.
Or I guess 3, technically. My nephew Colby and his buddy Landon went out and this past weekend killed both of their first turkeys together. They doubled up.
That was sick, man.
Yeah. So my nephew was calling, and he's, obviously figured it out to an extent.
Yep.
He's not a world-class turkey hunter. Neither am I. But you got to give him props for going out and doing it on his own.
Yeah.
And on land that he didn't know either. He was hunting his buddy's family's land.
Okay, cool.
So that's pretty cool to go out and work some birds in on a place that you don't know.
Heck yeah, man.
And then another fellow that I had a really, really good conversation with. I'm not going to get into the details by any stretch, but we were talking about breeding and HB 509 here in Alabama. But Mr. Chad Tanner, had a great conversation with him. I really wish there were more people like him that would put this the right way. Maybe stone up and call you out when you say something that's tough for other people to hear and say, hey, I want to talk to you about that. I want to know, why. We had a great conversation.
That's cool.
Really, really good dude. Respect that he had the wherewithal to reach out.
All these big words. Matt says forthwith to Dylan the last time we were together.
Did he?
Yeah, remember that? He's like talking about getting fire breaks done, and he said I would do that forthwith.
Oh, yeah. His big words are coming from his real estate class studying.
Yeah, it probably is. That's cool. Bray, you got any shout-outs?
I'm going to give a shout-out to the Furnace Creek HOA.
For not letting the neighborhood go up in flames.
Jeremy and I got, I'm not going to say roped in. We
agreed to
We're
this.
always willing to help our fellow burner with his projects. But when we pulled into $1 million neighborhood and I saw the fire breaks in the $1 million neighborhood, I did get a little in the backyard. I got a little nervous. So did the Furnace Creek HOA.
Yes, they did.
So I don't know if it's a shout out or like a blanket apology, but I'm not really going to apologize because, like I told some of them, we were mitigating their wildfire risk.
Yeah, and look, it went well. We didn't smoke them terribly. I mean, you close to 250 to 270 acres burning. It's going to be smoky.
Yeah, that's a chunk.
But it wasn't terrible. Had some really good conversations, especially Bray and Matt. I think I was the only one actually burning. They were smoothing over the neighborhood.
Yeah. I have taken on the role of PR for our crew.
Yeah, people don't yell at her like they do us.
Yeah, it's because they don't know me. I think Brock and Jeremy got nervous when I was like, I'll talk to them. It's fine. But no, some of the residents were genuinely like interested in hearing what we were doing and why we were doing it, and I love getting those questions. So, being able to explain what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we are mitigating those risks to the best of our abilities. And once the ones that did take the time to speak with us, they were on board with it.
Oh yeah. One of the ladies that lived there, she came out and sat. Going by, I was like, what is she doing? I just kept going by, riding the lines and checking things. And finally, they went down there and talked to her, and she just sitting up there watching. I was like, okay. But most everybody else was a minor freak out, and then, y'all know what you're doing? Yeah, kind of. And they're like, do we need to call the fire department? I said, we told them, and they said we could handle it. Yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. So
you can sit by the phone if you want to, though.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I will say I was fully expecting us to wind up on James Spann that day, and I was a little disappointed we didn't because that plume that we put up at one point, it was impressive. But that burn, we had to take our time on it. Anything like that, you want to be extra careful. You want to have everybody kind of in one spot doing what they need to do on stuff like that. But I think it went smoothly.
It did. It really did.
With really good coverage.
I was concerned. I don't mind saying it. Bray pulls in and texts Matt and is like, you're not serious, paraphrasing there. And I pull into the neighborhood and I look and I stop. I'm like, there's no way. And I called Matt and I said, Matt, this pen is taking me into a neighborhood, and the first house I see is about a $750,000 house. He said, "Oh, no, that's it." And I say, "You dumbass," and hang up the phone.
And off camera, he said, "Nothing's changed."
No, nothing. Not a bit. He's still a dumbass for taking that one.
Sorry, Matt, you're not here to defend yourself.
No, you're not.
That's what you get, I guess.
It was brave.
Yeah. Hey, but it went well.
It went very well.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I'll give one real quick. Mr. Paul Campbell of the Turkey Season podcast, who's also on our network, the OK's Podcast Network. Paul actually, from what I understand, unless he corrects me when he listens to this later, he got to scratch off the bucket list for him, which was taking a bird in Alabama.
No kidding.
Yep, for years and years.
So no snakes got after him this time.
I don't think he had a good snake story this time, but he did get to scratch that one off. He got a bird in Alabama, and so
I'll never forget him telling that story.
That was so. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the episode from NWTF last year, 2024 show. With Paul, he was our guest for the day, and he tells a story at the end of that episode about the Alabama snake story, and it's a good one. Yeah, it's worth listening to the episode just to hear that story.
Oh, no question.
So
yeah, you just suffer through our blabbering just to hear that.
Yes,
it's good.
Yes, and I mean it's cool for Paul for a couple of reasons. I mean he's also obviously a pretty diehard turkey hunter, but he's also the Director of Development for the Central and East Divisions of the NWTF. Yeah. So, like, to say that he cares about wild turkeys is an understatement. I mean, he told me whenever he took the job, I can't remember what his job was previously, but he's like, I took like a $40,000 pay cut just because it's how much it means to him. You know what I mean? So it's cool when people like that get a chance to go have some fun too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So shout out to Paul. Well, with all that out of the way, we're going to jump right in. We're going to be talking turkeys and talking, I guess, turkey habitat too. Talking about, a lot of people get up in arms. We've been talking about burning already, and people really go nuts when you're like, I can't believe you're setting fires in the woods during turkey season.
So
why are you doing that? I can't, you're a moron. So we're going to take some time and maybe talk about some of that stuff too. But specifically, maybe talk about turkey populations here in Alabama and maybe like where we are, where we came from.
Okay, so where we are in this part of the world, it's just like deer. There's not any.
Yeah, there's not any.
So don't come here looking for a turkey.
Listen, I know y'all hear this every episode. Me and Jeremy talk about this place being Chernobyl, but you're like, it's probably not that bad.
It's that bad.
Come get you some. There's nothing here, y'all. There's no wildlife outside of the state park at Gunnersville.
Yeah,
maybe Grant Mountain or something like that.
Look,
that's it, man. I mean, there's not anywhere else.
It sounds ludicrous, but from the property that I help manage to my house is, I think it's 27 miles from my gate to their gate. The best turkey hunt I've ever had in my life in Marshall County, Alabama. But it happened in one tiny little spot, and that's the area that's got turkeys. And look, they got plenty. But they're, everybody knows what I'm talking about that's a local, so it's not a surprise.
Right.
But, you get up into Jackson County, there's plenty of turkeys, but it seems to be, that Highway 72 corridor there, much south of there, when you break into Marshall County, seems to be growing with deer and turkey numbers, and it's picked up in the land market too. Yeah, it used to be cheap out that way. It is not anymore.
Well, I think what people saw is basically a mountainside has almost no value to. Hey, there's birds here, or there's a few deer running around here. It's all of a sudden worth a little bit more now. So, I agree. So I guess just in the spirit of talking about all those different things, we're going to talk turkeys a little bit. We may talk burning some too, and kind of how you guys go about that. I know Matt's not here, but how you go about that and how you justify the timing of it. I know that sometimes when it comes to burning, I've even heard Matt say, like, there's a few reasons why you would burn this time of year.
Yeah.
One is because, you're not seeking out prime nesting habitat when you're burning this stuff. So you're generally burning stuff they wouldn't nest in anyways.
That's what we're trying to get to.
Yes.
And see, I posted a video of our Clay County burn where, Bray and Matt and my buddy Cody, we all went down there and burned 441 acres.
Yeah.
Understory in a day.
It was a big one.
Yeah. But it was a blast. But, we had selected particular stands to burn. And I posted a video on my Facebook of Cody lighting and me riding behind him, and I think we're going 14 or 15 miles an hour lighting fire. You can
that was the same day that Brock was running.
Yeah, that's right.
He was running with the drip torch.
Out of the fire.
Yeah.
But I posted that, and the guy's like, man, at all the turkey nests you burned up. I'm like, what? I was like, I wanted to comment. And I'm trying to do better. I am. I'm working on myself of not calling people stupid. But
he didn't do it for Matt.
Old Red Foreman over there.
It's just look. I'm trying to bring that down because I do have a temper. Not generally with people. I don't have a temper with employees at all. Never have. But with stuff going wrong and stupidity, it irks me. But a fellow made a comment about that, and the only thing that I can see watching that video, or I can think, is how bad that stand looks. So we're burning it. It's not scheduled. Well, let me back up. It was scheduled to be thinned already, and they missed it. So we're burning it, and it is going to have a vegetative response, not like we wish it would. We wished it was already thin 2 years ago. But we've been having such a bug problem on that particular farm.
Like beetles?
Yeah, pine beetle, southern pine beetle. So they missed it. They missed the thinning 2 years ago. This past year, all they did was fight pine beetles all year long on that track. But the landowner likes to keep his property on a burn rotation, and the other guy that had been burning is no longer burning, obviously, and he wanted to keep some of that same rotation going. Matt and I have swapped some stuff up because of, a couple stands we didn't really think need to be burned. But anyway, we're trying to create nesting habitat, and that stand was the furthest thing from it.
Well, and I think something else to point out on that, when you say a 441-acre burn, that does not mean that it was a contiguous 441-acre block. We had
6 tracks.
6 different blocks broken up, staggered across. It's a huge property.
Yeah, it's a little over 2,000 acres.
And so we have the luxury of getting more burned acreage in without completely nuking the place during nesting season. And that's what people don't see when we just post, 400-acre burn today. They're like, oh, my God, they burned 400 straight acres, and every turkey's going to die.
Yep.
Yeah. I've noticed some of these other guys, like CFM and John Stivers, great burn folks in the state. We send them some business, and they do the same for us. But anyway, they do a great job when they'll post like how many feet of line they've done and how many acres they've burned in a day from their hours, and they do a dang good job of explaining a lot of that. And we're so far behind that we don't take time to do that.
Well, and like I saw theirs.
And we should.
Yeah, I saw theirs yesterday, and it always reminds me, we can post what we want to post, but nobody knows the full picture unless you were there.
That's right.
And so, I saw that CFM post, and he was like, and before the turkey hunters come at me, the stem count was so high here that a turkey could not walk through it.
Yeah. I'm sure that was Jonathan, probably.
I think it was in the Native Habitat Managers group.
Yeah.
But we were talking about that earlier this evening on when we come out here and we decide what blocks to burn on your property, I wouldn't be doing the job a service if I was just trying to get as many acres as I could.
Right.
I wouldn't be doing the resource a service if I could come in and say all of this needs to be burned and get one fat paycheck. But I want to go in and say, this can go another year or two without fire. I'd really like to get fire on this year. And that's what happened Friday. There was a block that I said, I think we hold off on burning this one, but I do want to get this block that's right next to it. And I'm walking through there, lighting fire, and the block that I said to hold off on, there was a hen on her nest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that's a perfect example.
And I mean, it's not always going to go that
That's not
easily, but it was a nice little win for me. And then, I get to say, perfect, those poults are going to hatch right here. They're going to have open ground to go bugging in. They're going to have cover over here. They're going to have food over here.
Best case scenario.
Yeah. So we're very particular about what we do this time of year.
Right.
On stuff like that.
And I mean, and I've even heard Matt say this too, like there's a difference if you're burning your own property or if you're having a professional, somebody else come in there and burn it. Well, like ideally, would you maybe wait and do this after turkey? Well, sure. But you're also at the mercy of somebody's schedule too.
That's correct.
And you're at the mercy of the weather. I mean, when conditions are right, you have, if someone can be there, then that's when you burn it. And if weather's not right, you can't. Or if someone can't be there, then, I mean, that's part of the game too is like, sure, in the perfect world, just wait. But, you know what I mean? That's not always a luxury.
Yeah, I always recommend my active landowners go get a prescribed fire manager certification. Some do, some don't. Look, it's a big time investment. It's a 4 or 5 day class, and then test at the end.
And then you have to keep your CEUs up.
Yep, yep, and it's a good thing. If you want to be able to take advantage of the burn windows you have, and you're a landowner that's got the time to do that, you should take the time to go be certified.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think I just wanted you guys to talk about that for a second because I know there's, I mean, like you said, without giving a big explanation, there's some context to it. If you say 440 acres we burned today, everybody goes, "Oh my gosh, they just burnt the place to the ground," and it's like not necessarily.
And that's, and I didn't do a good job of saying why I didn't call the guy stupid. Looking at my post, but some people don't know what they don't know.
Yep, sure.
And I'm looking at that stand going, "What's this guy thinking?" Even commenting this, he's got to know.
They might not.
Well, he probably don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thankful that I've kind of started this at the age that I am because you didn't know me several years ago. You knew me several years ago. I would quickly just be like, "You're an idiot."
Right.
And now I'm kind of at the point where it's like, I didn't know these things.
Yeah.
I'm still learning, and why not take the opportunity?
To try to educate somebody instead of.
Well, look, you can educate somebody rudely, or you can do it in a different format. And unfortunately, I have been at times one to do it very rudely. Not often, but I have. Try and change that.
We're working on reeling it back in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, I get it. I'm the same way. I mean, especially like, it's funny you're talking about like, hey, you didn't know me back then and, that kind of stuff. Well, my prior work experience was, was really just being a pastor, like being on staff at a church. And so you want to talk about like, be thankful that there was not like film rolling for some of my very first times I ever preached, like some of the most horrific excuses for sermons ever. Or, because like I would be the guy that's like sitting in the crowd going, that guy's a heretic. Oh my gosh. You know what I mean? I can't believe he said that. What a moron. And so like you say, like now, hey, you remember when you were in your early 20s and you were trying to do this and you had never done it before and you know what I mean? Like, just be glad that nobody was there to remember some of that stuff that you said.
There was
a
lot of hills that I thought I was willing to die on.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
When I was early and mid-20s, and now I'm finding that the number of those hills gets smaller and smaller every day.
Yep. I remember Matt saying to me, they were actually talking about parenting, but I mean, it kind of applies to other things, but he was just like, anytime my kids do something wrong, no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be a grand, giant mistake. It could be something really small. Like it would drive me crazy. It'd be like, and I'd want to blow up and go, "You're grounded for a month," or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, one day my wife just goes, "Look, I'm not trying to start a fight or start an argument or anything, but I'm just going to say it. If you make everything a big deal, then there's not going to be any big deals left."
Yeah.
If every little thing is a hill to die on, then you know what I mean? Like, we got problems later in life. And so it's like, he said, I just had to chew on that for a little while. And it's like, okay, everything is not worth.
Yeah, a flip out.
Yes, everything's not worth me absolutely blowing my top over, So.
And I struggle with that internally. I don't do it, like I said, to people generally. I do that with myself, and every now and then it bubbles out in front of other people. Brock's seen it a time or two. You hadn't seen it yet.
No.
You will.
Let's see. Well, I guess while we're talking turkeys, that would be kind of cool for us to kind of talk about, because you do have, both of you, and if Matt was here too, unique perspectives in that you're both biologists, but you also both, prior state employees, and that's kind of not a whole lot of people have that same perspective on some stuff. And so just talking like specifically in Alabama, current and previous states of the population of wild turkeys that we've got here. Like, I know that.
Boy, you just loaded us up with that one, didn't you?
I'm just like, what I'm getting at is everybody is up in arms on one end of the spectrum.
Yes.
You have people who really are advocating for less, a stricter bag limit, and fewer turkeys being harvested every year. And then you have guys that are like, oh, they're going to keep on till we can't harvest any turkeys, or, we got turkeys running out our nose. We've got to control the, population. So what I'm getting at is I pulled some data earlier today. Mm-hmm. And so I know as far back as like 22, 21, a rough number of the population of turkeys in Alabama. Mm-hmm. And I know what the bag limit was then.
Yeah.
It's been reduced.
Yep.
So I guess not to say are you in support either way. I'm just saying.
What did they say about our current state in numbers? What did they say?
The current state was somewhere just under 500,000 birds.
Under 500,000.
Yep.
Really?
And in I want to say around 22. Don't hold me to this because now I'm questioning myself. But it was like 346,000 birds, 360,000 birds, somewhere in that range, and it has improved since bag limits have been lowered, which would make sense, right? But I guess, and we sat down with Paul at the NWTF, and he's like, "Man, I'm looking at Alabama's bag limits, and I'm like, 5 birds."
Yep.
What? Is that smart? Or is that?
Well, here you go ahead, because I've got a long string of thoughts.
I think we both do. Yes, Alabama has always been known to have the more liberal bag limits, season lengths, all of that stuff. But when you look at it, and when we were with the state, we did see those numbers on how many people actually limit out on turkeys.
It's minute.
It's very minute.
But
very
it does not
minute.
Take account into those guys that kill 15, 20, 30.
Sure.
That's true.
And never report one, ever.
Yeah.
And, there's always that adjustment factor in what you're getting on Game Check and what, is being reported in the postseason hunter surveys. and stuff like that. I'm going to let you go ahead on what you think, because I have my thoughts too.
Number one, I don't care what kind of research has been done. You cannot accurately depict a population of an animal on a landscape the size of the state of Alabama.
Right.
We can't do it for a county. I understand you have to put something.
Yep.
Because the public wants something. And I don't know the best way to answer that. I really don't. But with my background, I struggle with reading. We got 1.2 million deer and we got 500,000 turkeys. I'm like, bull crap.
Right.
We don't know. We're never going to know. Leave that. We had ample turkeys when all this crap started. Mm-hmm. And I'm just giving my anecdotal thoughts here with some evidence. The big thing that has changed and made turkey hunting more popular, just like everything else, is social media. Mm-hmm. It has put more turkey hunters in the woods than anything else. I believe that's where our population decrease was coming from, on top of what was already occurring, which was habitat fragmentation and lack of management. Mm-hmm. I believe that if our numbers had stayed steady, our hunter numbers had stayed steady, that we would have stayed in good shape. I think we had two factors come in and hit head to head and cause us the problem that we're in.
So you think that there are more turkey hunters now?
There's no question.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's more turkey hunters today than there's ever been.
And then
most of them suck.
Well, suck in what regard? They can't kill turkeys, or they kill too many?
They don't know woodsmanship. It's not that they can't kill turkeys, because some of them can. A lot of them sit on the side of a field and shoot one when it walks by. That's turkey hunting. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the art of speaking the language to that animal, learning how turkeys act, how they respond to calls, at what kind of call you're making. You go out in the woods and you purr or you kiki or you yelp or tree yelp, whatever, and you don't know what you're saying, you've got to understand the whole gamut when it comes to killing turkeys, unless you're going to do it over bait or deer hunting a turkey. Mm. It's what we call them, deer hunting turkeys, sitting on the field and shooting them when they walk by. Mm. If you're going to go out, actively chase a bird and use a call and a shotgun, and some will use decoys, some won't, it is hard. How long have you been trying?
10 years.
Yeah, that's hard.
Okay.
on and off, and I will say I do not have the time.
Yeah,
sure.
If I get to go out 2 or 3 times a season, I am lucky. Mm-hmm. But I also try to make sure that, because I'm around people like you and Brock and CC and all of them, I know how important that is to these people. And I try to really be respectful of the tradition and the sportsmanship that comes with it, and not do it the easy way.
Right.
Yep. And our society being wrapped up in these things right here and Amazon and everything else, we're used to immediate satisfaction.
Sure.
I want this. I need that feeling. I need that shot of dopamine or whatever. Grab your phone, hop in the vehicle. You can do whatever you want to do now and do it quickly, except for kill a turkey. Yeah. The turkey hunting way. And look, if you're out in the woods, I support your right to be there and turkey hunt and take a turkey, however, unless you're breaking the law.
Sure.
But if you want to truly feel the excitement and just everything about a turkey hunt, you have to chase and you have to talk to that bird. You're not going to get it all by field hunting turkeys.
So, all that to say, like you said, all that
Yep.
to make the point of these bag limits are justified or not?
I think they're justified based off the increase in hunter number and the reduction in management that had been taking place. I don't believe that that's an accurate statement as far as management on the landscape anymore. If social media has done, 10 bad things, it's done probably 15 good things. Podcasts like ours is out there. Management podcasts are out there. I think there is more management being put on the ground today than ever before as well. Not all of it's good, but it's active. I had a conversation with a buddy of mine that's a biologist with Whitetail Institute today, Mr. Jody Holbrooks. Shout out,
Jody.
Yeah. And we were talking turkeys, and he's got turkeys on a place there around his house that he's never seen turkeys before. It's, he's managing. There was a source population there, and that got us on the train of quail. I see more quail now than ever in my life. And I think that's just more management-minded folks on the landscape and trying to do the right things.
Yeah. Okay, my turn. I've been trying to think of ways to say this in a way.
Yeah, I left commenting on the research and all that out.
I'm just going to say what I'm about to say. It doesn't matter if the dominant gobbler gets to breed if there's no nesting habitat. And I think that was something that I was going to stress was social media has pushed towards, being a steward of the land, not just being a hunter. And I think it's specifically in Alabama. So Alabama is 93% privately owned. So if you want to look at what the state's doing, the state could manage every piece of property they have control over perfectly. It would not be a drop in the bucket on what needs to be done for large-scale population increases. What we're seeing now is on the real estate side, more people are buying land and keeping it land.
It's
not turning it into a subdivision or something.
More people are buying land, keeping it land, and passing it down the family.
I think that's COVID related. I really do.
Well, and that's another point I was going to bring up because I had the unique vantage point of being a biologist over one of the heaviest hunted WMAs for turkeys during COVID.
And a good one.
And what I saw between 2019 to 2020 was absolutely insane.
In what respect? Like
the out-of-state tags on trucks.
The number of hunters in the field. And the birds that were checked, and I remember this, the specific numbers, it was over the numbers checked more than doubled in 1 year.
Wow.
And that could be compliance, that could be a number of things, but that does not take away the fact that a heck of a lot more turkeys died that year at the hands of a heck of a lot more people. There was tags, and that was the thing, was everybody was either working remote or they weren't working at all. So they had the luxury of coming down for 2 weeks at a time. They had the luxury of bouncing from WMA to WMA, from state to state to state, to be Instagram famous.
Turkey tour, baby.
That's it.
And it was very interesting to just sit back and watch. But
and look, you old school turkey hunters, and I'm not an old guy, but I feel like that's how I hunt because that's the way I was taught. We almost kind of sit back and like, God, this sucks, but it really doesn't. I mean, our tradition is going to be taken as far as it can be. You know, we've got new hunters in the woods, and that's what we all strive for. But turkey hunters are just different.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you said that about COVID, because I never would have thought of that. But one thing that I saw, because, you know, I'm an archery nerd, you know, businesses were closed, including bow shops. And so a lot of people were like, well, I need to get my stuff worked on. I need to get, you know, whatever, and I can't take it anywhere. Yep. What am I going to do? Well, I guess I can get on YouTube, and I guess I can buy a press, and I'll put one in my garage, and I'll just figure this out, you know? And so there was a lot of people that just started, and I'm not like throwing anyone under the bus or anything for trying to learn something new, but there's a lot of people that tried to go that route, and they ended up at my house because it was like, hey, man, I tried this and it didn't work. Can you fix it? You
I messed this up bad.
Yes, can you fix this or whatever? And, you know, or Alan, you know, or somebody like that. And so, but that was just kind of a, you know, product of the environment, because people didn't have the luxury of taking it somewhere and that sort of thing. So it's funny how external factors can influence things like that.
Oh, yeah. And I mean,
external factors are everything.
Yeah.
That, and also anybody that's ever studied population dynamics, biology, stuff like that, knows everything runs in cycles also. And Brock and I were talking about that today on, I think anybody who truly understands that kind of stuff wasn't too worried.
Right.
Because everything's going to bounce back. Everything's going to drop. I mean, like, EHD will kill off huge numbers of deer.
Way more than CWD ever will.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Huge numbers of deer. But they bounce back.
They do.
And it typically runs in everything runs in cycles.
Yeah. Acute things we bounce back from. Chronic issues is what can be significant.
But I think the biggest thing is there's so much available to private landowners now, you know, between the consultants like what we do, and then there's just a lot more education and information available.
Yeah. There's money as long as those don't take it, which I kind of hope they do. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, they're chopping heads left and right, it seems like. But, yeah, I mean, it is interesting how
and look, this all boils down to mortality rates. I mean, that's plain and simple. You know, how many are dying, and, you know, obviously how many being born too. But we're going to constantly have to adapt to new additive mortalities for wildlife. And that's my biggest concern as a biologist, are what have we yet to see that's going to impact our populations in a way that may take our ability to hunt away from us. Like, we're not talking about CWD, but that's my long-term outlook on CWD is I don't think the sky's falling. I don't think it's that big a deal, but it is another source of additive mortality that we have to take into account into the system. And let's hope we don't have something like that hit, you know, avian species, because they're much shorter lived anyway.
Right. Well, I mean, I think
delicate little things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you start having the conversation of let's control what we can control. Yeah. What can you control? Well, you can place a bag limit on something, you know, or you can place an open season on an animal. But I mean, really, apart from that, you have no real control over predators. Yeah. You have no real control over something like, you know, some sort of a infectious disease or, you know, or something like that. Like,
love him or hate him, Chuck Sykes said two things that always stuck in my head, you know, and he said them his whole career. One, it doesn't matter how it got dead.
It got dead.
Yeah. It don't matter if you shot a deer with a bow, a rocket launcher, you hit it with a car, it's dead. Okay? That's one that's out of the system. And the other, mine went blank. The other one he said,
really laser into his head, you know?
Yes. Golly.
So much so, I couldn't even remember.
Yeah. Oh, y'all talk about something. It'll come back. Good gracious. I mean, it left me just that quick.
I hate when that happens.
No,
It's
and,
really crazy.
you know, I used to always try to – there's an Aldo Leopold quote about, you know, if a species can't thrive in spite of predators, then the habitat's simply not a good habitat. And I know I just butchered that entirely, but you also can't discount the fact that people stop trapping. Nest predation is going to go up. That everything eats turkey eggs. Everything does. But
Absolutely.
you're also seeing these folks host these like nest predator rodeos, and I think it's a whole lot of things that are combining that's helping the turkeys.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think it's location specific too. You have a lot of that happening down in the southern part of the state. You don't have much of that up here. And then, of course, you know, when there's not been turkeys, there's been turkeys in southwest Alabama. So that's where, you know, all this kind of originated from anyway. But
Well, I mean, I know there's, you know, zones and, you know, that kind of stuff. And that's in an effort to try to, I don't know what the proper term for that is, but instead of have a blanket season.
I just remember.
Oh, never mind.
Stop everything.
The other thing he said.
Yeah, it is. You know, anytime you brought up a change, it don't matter which side you're for. You're going to piss 50% of people off.
Yep.
You're not going to win. So anything the state did, no win situation.
Yep.
And the same thing, you know, if we were to change regulations, you're going to have somebody pissed and moaning on one side and somebody on the other.
Yeah, I mean,
on
you
the
go
other.
back to 5 birds, half of everybody's going to be mad.
Yeah.
You go to 3 birds, half of everybody's going to be mad. That's part of it.
Yep. You can't please everybody.
No.
And you hit the nail on the head when you said there's not much that the state can actually do. You know, that was something else that we always talked about. You know, people would call and complain. They're like, okay, what do you want us to do? Here's the 2 things we can do. We can shorten your season, or we can take opportunity
Away
as far
from
as
you.
harvests away from you. Which do you prefer? Well, we don't want to do either one of those.
Well, that's about all I can enforce.
That's it.
I mean, even
That's
like
it.
even something as simple. I didn't think about it until it was one. I can't remember what episode it was that we did the podcast here, but even trying to enforce boundaries.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be some sort of hard boundary.
Yep.
Because it's like, well, why didn't you make the line here instead of there? And it's like, okay, how would we ever go about enforcing that? It's almost got to be like a river or a mountain, or something like that. That's a hard defined edge to say this is where this boundary stops and the next one begins.
Yep.
Because how else are you going to enforce that?
Well,
you know?
and there's a lot that people will say, like, well, you should do this or you should do that. But there's also questions that have to be answered, and you just brought it up on, is it enforceable? How is it enforceable? Because you can make all the regulations you want. If you can't enforce it, you just wasted some paper and time.
Yep. And you've got states now, and look, I'm all for personal property rights. That's one of the big arguments with the deer breeder bill, the HB 509 with us. But I think it was Tennessee.
Tennessee just lost their
open
field
field
doctrine.
Yeah. I mean, you know what the open field doctrine
No, I was
is.
like, you need to explain.
I'll let the law. I know what it is, but I'm going to let the law enforcement agent over there, or ex-law enforcement agent.
I'm still technically a post.
Don't tell people that.
I don't do anything, though.
just
I just set fire. I set things on
But
fire.
I'll let her explain.
No,
open field
it was basically, conservation enforcement had the right to go on a property to see if a crime was being committed.
Didn't have to have reasonable cause.
No, not necessarily.
Right.
You did too. And this is where everybody's like, oh, game wardens don't have to have a warrant to
No, they
come
do,
into
too.
your house and raid your freezer and your taxidermy room. That's false. But
it's called open field.
Open fields doctrine. But the TWRA agents, if I'm remembering this correctly, which I think I am because I kind of followed it through, they put up cameras on a landowner's property to try and catch them doing something wrong. And the landowners never actually did anything wrong. And they got all of us that were in law enforcement. I'm not going to speak for everybody. Yeah. A large percentage of folks that were in our field of law enforcement stated it's only a matter of time until this is taken away.
Yep.
All it takes is somebody to get the right attorney. And that's why conservation enforcement officers had a large area of what we were allowed to do, but there was kind of this unspoken understanding that you don't push it. My thing, my thing was always like, if I don't have probable cause, why am I going to push it? That's, in Alabama, if you're on a WMA, your vehicle and all your belongings are subject to be searched.
And I've seen them tore apart.
That was nothing I ever did.
Right.
Because all it takes is somebody to have the right attorney to challenge it. And I don't know. But TWRA did lose that. And I imagine it's only a matter of time before other states lose it also.
I think some others are already in the works from what I've heard.
That set a precedence, I believe.
It will happen. It will happen here quickly. Or they will attempt it. And it'll pass. Yeah.
Alabama's a very heavy
property
rights state.
Yeah.
So the right person challenges it, and you lose it.
Well, we were talking about like just what the state can do and what things are becoming popular now and social and stuff. I really, don't get me wrong, I don't want public land opportunities to be ever taken away from hunters or anything like that, but it seems like that has been for the last few years the biggest craze, is like not just to harvest a deer or a turkey, but you got to do it on public land to be cool. And
that's the social media drive,
right? And that's totally fine, by the way. If you go make the most of those opportunities, by all means, that's what they're there for, and don't want them to go away. But I think just as my opinion means nothing to anybody, but I think there's going to be this big shift towards, like you said, hey, 93% of the state is privately owned. There's going to be a shift towards stewardship and management, and I want to get a property and have my hands on it for years and years and develop it, and like that's going to be.
And I think we're living that right now.
Yeah,
I think we're in the middle of that.
Killing stuff on public land is still cool. I just think that's where things are headed.
Well, but there's also this, you have to ask if a lot of these people would have ever stepped foot on public land or known about their public land if somebody on Facebook didn't say, you're not a man if you can't kill 130 on a WMA in Alabama.
Yep.
They ain't a whole hell of a lot of men in Alabama then.
I'm just, would you be doing it? Would you have a passion for it if somebody wasn't saying? Because here's the thing, the guys who can hunt those WMAs, who have hunted those WMAs, aren't telling other folks to do it.
No. Not a lot.
Not a lot. There's some.
But I'm all for it. I'll hunt public land some. I will tell you, I think we're probably at the height that we'll see it as far as public land usage. I think it's going to go down.
Yeah,
I think it's already starting to go down.
Yeah, I mean, because even inexperienced folks get tired of running into other people trying to hunt.
Sure. I mean, look, I've said it forever, and I've had people on Instagram and Facebook and other stuff specifically call me out and be like, yeah, it's because you're a beta male or whatever. And it's like, look, man, going and taking the joy, out of hunting by having to, get to my spot 4 hours before, everybody else gets there and beat people to the gate and like that. Okay. It goes back to, why am I doing this in the first place? Because it's fun. all right, well, this isn't fun.
No.
So I'm not going to do it. You know
Correct.
what I mean? So, and if that makes me like less of a man or not a good hunter or whatever, I don't care. I'm doing this for me because it's fun and it's what I enjoy my time, spare time that I get, which ain't much of. So, you know what I mean? If it's going to be a constant fight with trying to just pick out a spot and like, you know, all that sort of stuff, like
we can disagree on ways to do things and how we want to go about it, and we can do that vocally. You don't have to get your butt hurt about it.
No.
No.
Just go do you.
Yes, that's fine, man. You go, all those deer that I'm passing up by not going on public land, you go kill them.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Now, you come sit on the edge of my property and start causing me a problem, then I'm gonna ugly talk you to your face.
But no, I think like what you were saying, we're probably at the peak of this public land hunting craze that we were seeing, and something that I kept noticing, you know, you keep trying to find answers for everything. And during COVID, when the whole world was shut down in 2020, not only did people have the freedom to travel, they had the time to scout. And that's a big thing on public land is if you're not familiar with the area and you don't have time to scout, it's very hard to be successful. So when they had 2 weeks to come spend on the same WMA, your odds of being successful are going to increase dramatically. So people don't have that time anymore. We're pretty much back to normal. We'll never be back to pre-COVID normal, I don't think.
No, I still see people wearing masks.
Yep.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But you do you. I'm just making fun of you.
I don't care. If you're alone in your car with it on,
Yeah.
I might chuckle a little bit. But I don't care. It doesn't bother me and mine.
Nope.
This is, I know we've gone all over the
Everywhere.
place. But
this is almost as bad as ranting and raving.
Almost. Well, I mean, we probably did rant and rave a little. I got one more turkey-related thing, and then we kind of wrap up. But just your opinion. Last couple of years, and actually, I don't know if it's because it's relatively new, or if it's because I've just not paid close enough attention to it because I'm not as diehard of a turkey hunter. But the delay in being able to use decoys, you know, they've pushed that to where I think whatever it is,
10 days.
10 days, is that what it is? I couldn't remember if it's 2 weeks or 10 days. But that's not always been the case, has it? I mean, so I guess I'd like to hear your takes on, like, the reasoning behind that.
Ooh.
I mean, even on private, too, by the way. It's not just public.
I think they were just searching for something to do. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but I do. I think they were looking for something to change that they could get away with, because decoys scare as many turkeys as they attract. So that, to me, was absolutely pointless.
Yeah.
Now, I do commend them for the reaping thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's just dangerous as all get out.
Well, that's my, like,
I don't.
you could not pay me to do it.
You get shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even like, we don't hunt with decoys much. I don't like carrying around a decoy.
Yeah.
I mean, any kind of red, blue, something like that will get you shot. Especially, I hate to say it this way, but especially on public land with the new turkey hunters that don't know no different.
Yeah. Well, that's when Brock and I went on that client's property. He had that hen decoy, and anytime we would move, it was flipped upside down, and I had it like under my arm. And I'm on private property, like nobody else is out there, but my brain is constantly. That's just like the people on public land that they want to carry their deer out on their shoulders. Stop doing that, y'all. You're gonna get shot.
Yeah, look, I'm all for you packing it out.
Don't wear it as a backpack.
No, don't wear a deer head as a backpack.
Well,
look, an elk on your back is different. Everybody knows an elk don't walk backwards. Okay?
Yeah. Well,
and they're much taller.
And, I mean, thankfully, I know that a lot of different pack companies, too, now make the meat shelves that are blaze orange.
Yes.
And so, you know.
And a lot of turkey vests have an orange flag, but a turkey hunter immediately cuts that out and throws it in the trash.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants bright color flashing around turkey hunting.
No, the reaping 100% needed to go.
Yeah, it's
Just for the safety reasons.
Yes. I don't care that, it made people more successful, whatever, but it is dangerous.
Yeah.
But now, if you're baiting turkeys and shooting turkeys, come on. Are you that bad? You can
He's on one today.
Listen, you can kill every turkey on a place with bait. And look, what did I tell you today? Or I know you heard me. I could have shot
the gobblers
4
today.
longbeards out of the tractor cab, and I'm talking open the door, shoot them by the step. I'm drilling corn, and they're walking in the field I'm in, scratching up the corn I'm drilling. 4 longbeards.
Jeez.
So food is a very, very big motivator to a turkey.
Yeah, it's powerful. Gotta have it.
Powerful motivator.
Yep.
If you bait turkeys, and I'm giving the people out there that don't know what they need to do, if you bait turkeys, you're going to kill them all. Plain and simple. You're going to kill them.
Yep.
And you sorry.
Shameful.
Just shameful. Sorry. Leave that out.
That's funny. Well, that's as far as stuff I wanted to throw at you. That's about all the ones I got, unless you guys have anything you want to wrap up with.
I hope I get to send y'all some pictures of some turkeys.
Yeah, you guys are
soon.
going to
Nebraska,
and South Dakota. Yeah, you guys are
excited about it. We're going to get to do some filming and have a big time.
Yeah, it'll be Jeremy, Matt, and
Matt
Moore. If you remember from
Texas.
the Texas content, you saw any of Matt Moore on there, our podcast with him. He'll be
and
up
then
there too.
Trey McElrath.
By the way, we probably should have shouted out Matt Moore.
Killing them.
Dude, he is knocking them down this year. How many has he killed?
All of them.
He's killed.
I get so jealous of him during turkey season. I always do, because he takes half or 3/4 of turkey season off. Well, he may take it all off. I don't know. But he gets to turkey hunt now.
Yeah.
And see, it's my busiest time of year. I can't. This is my first trip out of town to turkey hunt in several years now.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I think Brock's turkey hunted every morning the last couple
about every day.
Yeah.
And look, I love him to death. My little buddy. But that son of a gun gripes and complains about being not to have time to do anything. I mean, he's not here.
Right.
But I'm not going to get on him for that one tonight. I know what he's doing. But he spends 3.5 hours every morning turkey hunting.
We were late for that Clay County burn because we were turkey hunting.
There you go.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit.
It wasn't bad, though.
No, we got it done.
We got her done.
Didn't kill a turkey that day or the day before.
Yeah.
But I will say that I learn something every time I go turkey hunting.
They teach me something too. The one time I've got to go solo this year, I had a real good idea where there's a bird hanging out. There's been one stays in that holler every year. Once one's gone, there's another one takes his place. And I got up there, and hens were way out in the food plot, about 3/4 of a mile down the power line. And he wasn't with them, so I figured, he's probably down here in this holler in the shade. So I kind of get between the two and just get down in the hardwoods and do a little soft purring, nothing loud, no yelping, anything like that. And facing where I think the bird would come from. And as they will, they'll make you look stupid. Of course, they were jakes. I didn't, have an opportunity to shoot anything anyway. But those son of a guns come as right behind me as you could come from. And you couldn't have made me believe a turkey is going to come through that stuff at all. I mean, nothing would have made me think turkeys were coming from that direction. And so I weasel my way around, and, there's that eye just looking at me. I'm like, well, this is over. And I say weasel, I turned my head enough to look. But, yeah, I got busted. Of course, they're jakes. They're stupid. They putted one time and stood there and started fighting with each other, and right there around me they stayed, and they ended up on that food plot an hour later.
Yeah.
No longbeard.
I chased the same bird for 2 days, back and forth and back and forth. And then the last day, I ran into him, going to find him. And then he was not where I thought he was. We also busted a couple jakes that then made the turkey shut up once they flew over. He just went radio silent. But what I saw this year, and what Brock's been saying a lot, and what a lot of people have been saying, is they're just hammering it while they're on the roost, and then when they hit the ground, they're
done,
shutting up.
Well, you know what I got? I've already gotten reports of several people saying poults on the ground already, and I've already, a couple of those have come, a week or two ago, so that tells you how early things were going, but. A lot of people, I was getting pictures of sent to me of turkeys breeding in February down southwest Alabama. I mean, videos, on game cameras of them gobbling, doing their thing, and then breeding. Look, if you see turkey breeds, you know what they're doing. Yeah. And that's what they're doing. But yeah, I mean, in February.
Yeah. That's
so
crazy.
I think there's still as many questions with our turkey population and research left to answer as that we know.
Yeah.
I think our biggest thing is just keep working towards building that nesting habitat and poult habitat, because it's hard because they need different things at different stages, and when we say different stages, like they need this during a 2-week period, and then after that 2-week period they need this.
You got to think, when they're hatched, they're that big, and then you got to think the quail.
Are about that
big, yeah. So, anything can eat you when you're either that big or that big.
Right.
Literally anything. I've seen pictures. I remember of squirrels eating baby quail, but I've seen video of deer picking up a poult. A turkey poult and down the hatch.
I've seen deer do that, but also South Carolina did a study, and they had put radio transmitters on quail, and bullfrogs were eating quail. They were pulling radio. There was one bullfrog that choked to death and had the transmitter sticking out of his mouth.
Oh, that's crazy.
Literally everything eats a quail, and just about everything eats a turkey poult.
Yep.
And I think something else we're looking at is we have a lot more avian predators than we used to.
I was about to say that. Let's jump on our federal government here for a minute. Quit protecting the dadgum raptors. There's plenty.
Doesn't seem like there's any shortage around here.
No. Look, and the bird people are going, and my wife's one of them. They're going to come out of the woodwork, and they're going to be after me. But when do you not see a raptor?
Oh, yeah. Hawks everywhere.
Anywhere you live. I don't care if you live in downtown New York City. It's full of daggum peregrines and some other hawk species. But everywhere has avian predators, and they wear certain species absolutely out.
Yeah. Well, what was it? Great horned owls will kill a turkey hen.
Oh, absolutely.
On the nest. So I mean, they're at such a vulnerable stage for that amount of time, and everything. There's videos of crows just picking up turkey eggs and just
throwing them out.
Yeah, crows.
Crack them.
Yeah.
Jerks.
Crows. We saw at the Clay County burn eggs that had been.
Yeah, we did.
They were strode out in the road.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's typically raccoon doings there. They'll take them with them somewhere and then decide to chow down and leave their trash.
But, I mean, you've got snakes, coons, possums, skunks,
Yep.
hawks, owls, crows,
Everything.
everything. And
fire ants.
fire ants will
Yep.
destroy a nest.
I've
yeah.
heard they work on quail pretty bad.
Yeah.
They work on any newborn thing if there's enough of them. I have seen pictures and accounts. I've not seen it myself of where like cattle, calves have been born and had some type of problem getting up and down for a little bit, and the ants, they come to that blood, that afterbirth, and all that, and have killed cattle. I mean, it's not a cow. Fire ants not likely to kill a cow, but a baby
I mean,
calf.
it's still.
Yeah, but it's still a pretty big creature.
Yep.
For an ant to kill.
I'm going to tell you, there's some bad ways to go. That would be a bad way to go.
That and, like, the deer fawns that get eaten by ticks, where, like, they'll just.
Gosh. I did not know that I could hate something more than I already do.
And ticks.
God, that sounds awful, man. Ugh.
Yeah. And hogs. Hogs
Yeah,
will
for
destroy.
sure.
Yeah.
Hogs will destroy everything.
They
Like, we're not
do.
just going to say they'll destroy nests.
Hogs
They'll destroy anything.
I'm so glad I've got enough business I don't have to worry about trapping them stinking son of guns anymore. By the way, if you want a hog trap, I've got a couple I'd probably sell.
There you go.
But if you want the best trap made, shout out Bull Creek.
There you go.
No game changer traps.
Yep.
I still think it's still the best one I've used.
Yeah.
Hands down.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, I do want to thank sponsors, Vitalize Seed. They've been with us since day one.
Yep.
And so, Al, man, we appreciate all of their support, except for when they partnered with Matt on April the 1st and tried to put a new seed blend out.
I actually put some of their stuff in the ground yesterday and today.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I need to do better. I suck. I mean, out using the pH drill today.
Exactly.
And putting Vitalize seed in the ground, and I'm trying to beat the rain, y'all. And
there you go.
let me tell you, the good Lord don't always shine on me, but He did today. As I was putting out our pre-emergent, it started raining. And I'm like, yes.
Thank you.
I couldn't have made this happen any better.
That's awesome. Of course, tethered too. I mean, you guys hear us talk about the tree saddles and all that kind of stuff. They make a pretty sweet turkey vest too, the M2 vest. And
I've got something I want to talk to Ernie about too.
Hey.
I've done come up with an idea with all their lightweight stuff.
Yeah.
There is a particular item I'm tired of toting in the woods. And me and Mr. Ernie gonna figure it out.
He probably can. He's the man to do it.
Yeah.
And of course, First South Farm Credit. Shout out to them too. We're going to have Joseph on here daily.
Yeah, Joseph and Daly here before too long.
Yep, we'll have them on so you guys can talk more land and financing, those sort of things too. And I was trying to think, was there anybody left out?
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, Tut. I mean, I guess Tut. I'm just kidding. No, yeah, we definitely are. We're thankful for Tut too because they help us with especially being a little bit more legit player in the land game too. So
yeah, we're all right.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of their specialty. It's kind of what they do.
Yeah, it is. It is what we do. But we have.
Oh, and Darton, my gosh, Darton
Good
archery,
gracious.
Terrible. So Randy is doing the tournament circuit right now. He's
Bless his heart. I know he's busy.
IBO, ASAs.
How in the world?
Stuff, man.
Well, I guess I would have to ask in the archery circuits. I guess most archers aren't turkey hunters.
Well, it's.
I mean, they kind of coincide, so it'd be hard.
Yeah, I mean, not many of them do. If they do, it's like super limited.
Yeah.
Because I mean, really, you can ask Alan. Whenever I was in his shop, I mean, it was basically he didn't hunt like deer hunt in Alabama until, it extends in February now, but like he wouldn't hunt the last 2 weeks of January because he's practicing getting ready for the first ASA, which is usually like the second week, first week of February. So it's like, hey man, I can't hunt. I gotta get dialed in. Got to make sure my stuff is on. So yeah, there's not a ton of them, but I imagine if some of them, there's a lot of them that live in the Midwest and they might get to go walk out the backyard and smack one or something. But
yeah, I mean, out there they roost in the 2 trees in the field or the power poles.
You know where they're at.
Yeah.
But dart and archery especially, of course.
They're going to have a hard time beating that dadgum sequel.
I know. Well, I mean, the new one that they have that has a little bit more micro adjustment features on the timing and on your limbs, to get your air flight right. It's really impressive. But I'm with you. I was very fortunate to go to some target-rich environments, and some stuff died by that sequel. That's a sweet shooting bow.
Unfortunately, the only thing that I've killed is targets with mine because I don't get to hunt much. But
you didn't stick any javelinas in Texas, did you?
I stayed behind the camera.
Somebody's got to do it.
The professional videographer killed more than anybody.
And got the worst footage. Didn't get the good stuff.
I had been to Texas several times, and I've killed everything out there, except for a couple of species, and I'll go back for eventually. I wanted to be kind of behind the scenes. The quail thing was really high on my list, and the deer capture, I've said time and time again, was a bucket list.
Yep.
So. Yeah, I was tickled to do what I did. I would have really like to have put the sequel to work in Kansas last year. It just didn't play out.
Yep.
Had too many hunters and not enough time for me, even though I was there 22 days.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you were there like almost a month.
Yeah, 22 days. I sat for less than 2 hours in a tree stand.
Golly, that's not enough.
Nope. Got called and had to get down after seeing that buck that Joe shot.
Yep.
And went to get in a tree one other time and sat there for about 30 minutes and phone rang. So down again. And I was like, nah, just shot. You have those years.
That's right. But, guys, we went a little long on this one, but we appreciate you sticking around and your support, too. And I know it seems like this is never going to happen, but we do have something that is still cooking, still in the works. We're trying to make sure that we have all the bugs worked out of this thing that we can possibly work out before we hit go on it.
And look, there's going to be a lot of other players involved, too.
Yes. So I'm just a big proponent of let's get this thing right instead of let's get it out there.
Yeah.
So,
bear with us.
Yeah, bear with us. But we got some stuff coming, and hopefully pretty soon, once that gets going, we're going to have some merch for you guys. If you're interested in that, we may do some pre-orders and that sort of thing. Get us some shirts and hats and other kind of goodies that you guys could rep Southern U with, and we would certainly appreciate that.
Yep. And look, if you guys know anybody that's looking to buy or sell, call me, call Bray. Do not call Matt because Matt's not licensed. So call me or call Bray. Right. But you can find our contact info, on several different things. But we'll make sure Bray's is posted so you can get to her.
Yeah, Bray swaggered at Tutland.
There you go. And some of you guys have reached out for site visits and consults on your property, and it's just kind of funny. That was never really our intention when we started this podcast. No. We just kind of did it because we wanted to provide some educational opportunities for all things land, just kind of give out free info. But you guys have continually reached out and all over the place. Somebody reached out from Oklahoma a couple days ago, and somebody else reached out from kind of southwest Alabama today. And so we really appreciate that. And if you do or are curious about how to go about getting started, some sort of a management plan, or where do I go from here? How do I get started? Those sort of things. Then reach out. That's what these guys do for a living.
Am I out of training yet?
You are.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can be official.
Thank you.
You can be a bio.
Yeah.
A bio. A biologist official.
Yes.
Yeah.
Official biologist. Yeah.
But on that, it's not always just going to be me or Matt. It may be Bray. We have some other biologists that are working through this program, through Southern U with us. And Matt and I and Bray are busy, and we've got a couple other great biologists that have agreed to help. So even if you're, southeast Alabama, southwest Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, we've got folks close.
Yep. For sure.
That's willing to make the trip. And, if you just set on seeing Matt, fine, we can send Matt. But just understand it's not always going to be me and Matt or me or Matt or just one of us.
Sometimes you get stuck with me.
Yeah. We hope it's going to be Bray a lot. And a few others. So
no doubt. Well, guys, we appreciate it, and we will see you on the next one. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. You can find us anywhere that podcasts can be found or streamed. We're on all those platforms, social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Follow along, engage with us, ask questions. We love that kind of stuff. That's kind of why we started this whole thing. So we really enjoy kind of answering those things for you. And look, feel free to shoot us a line and say, hey, I'd love to hear you guys talk about fill in the blank. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's related to land, who knows? We might just take your topic and make an episode out of it.
Absolutely. It has been primarily hunting and wildlife centric, but that's we're working our way through that.
Yep, no doubt.
So,
but we appreciate you guys, and we will see you on the next one.
Out.
Bye, y'all.